morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you guys are at. I hope you're having a fantastic day. It's SoulSaint here, and we finally have news, the breakdown of the fusion of this month. It is the January, it's the new year, 2025, and we're going to get a little mad with it, you know? We have a part of the Alice in Wonderland experience. We're going to have another well-known character within the mythos of Alice, and I will say the Mad Hatter himself has arrived in the game. So, if this is your first time checking us out here, we're going to be talking about some of the kits and the skills that this champion is going to be bringing, and we'll talk a little bit more about how you're going to be able to attain them. And of course, before we do that, though, I want to show you guys exactly what he looks like in-game. So, let's take a look at him. I'm going to disappear here for a brief moment, and I want you guys to see him in action. Yeah, I mean, like, obviously, Knight's Revenant in the background. You see his face. I mean, he just looks so menacing. And to be honest with you, it's very thematic with what, like, how you would normally perceive the Mad Hatter. Just made Telerified, you know? I love the staff. I love how he has... it looks like a teacup, I want to say, floating above it. That's so clever. You have the tea kettle on his waist, like it's strapped to his hip, and then of course you got the drapes of like how his design. I mean, it just looks good. It just looks so good, and the character actually looks a little scary, to be honest with you. I don't know about you guys, but I don't know if I would have, you know, catch this guy on a bad day, because that just sounds like a bad idea, you know. Anyways, with that being said, I want to tell you guys first and foremost. For this particular character, he is going to be the Fusion Champion, which is going to launch as of the time of this recording on January 8th, Wednesday. You'll be able to see this champion in action. So I want you guys to go ahead and be prepared. Your resources are going to get used if you're looking forward to him. Now, is he worth it? Well, let's break it down. He's going to be a legendary Force Support Champion from the Knights Rev, as we obviously saw in the background. His A1 is going to be Dastardly Distillation. I hope I said that right. Attacks one enemy 2 times. Each hit has a 25% chance of stealing one random buff. Each hit also has a 75% chance of applying a debuff spread effect, taking one random debuff from the target and placing it on all enemies under a hex. Now, this is also bookable up to a 100% chance in terms of the debuff spread, and of course, another 25 on top of the 25% chance of stealing buffs, making it a 50% chance in terms of bookage. Now, you also get another 20% damage when booking on the A1 as well. Now, with that being said, the A2, this is where it kind of comes synergy in mind. He's going to attack all enemies, having a 75% chance to place a hex debuff with a 25% weaken to complement it as well. And it's going to be on all enemies for 2 turns. Now, bookable up to a 100% chance to land, as well as it being a 5-turn cooldown, but bookable down to a 4-turn cooldown. He also has the ally with the highest crit damage team will team up and join the attack. The ally joining the attack will use their default skill. The damage dealt by the ally joining the attack will increase by 10% per each debuff on the target. That's very, very disgusting if you haven't already peeped it. Now, in addition to that, a Whiff of Madness, which is going to be his A3, increase the duration of all buffs on all allies by 1 turn, increase the duration of all debuffs on all allies, or decrease the duration of all debuffs on all allies by 1 turn, and then also gives turn meter by 20% to all allies. So it's buff increase on the duration, it's debuff decrease on the duration, and then of course a 20% turn meter gain for everybody on your side. This is a 5-turn cooldown, bookable down to a 3-turn cooldown. Very solid. Very, very solid. Now, for the passive. He's going to have every 10 turns taken by allies, heals all allies by 20% of their max HP. Every 6 turns, he's going to take by the enemy. So it's going to be 6 turns taken by the enemies, not on your side. He's going to place a True Fear debuff on all enemies for 1 turn. If there are multiple champions on the team with this skill, only one will activate. So if you have 2 Mad Hatters and the enemy gets 6 turns, only one of them are going to apply this effect. And then, of course, his aura is going to be increases ally accuracy in all battles by 60. Not bad. There's a lot to digest here in terms of what this guy can bring to the table. So, debuff spread, very solid. Attacking all enemies, giving them Hex and Weaken, very complimentary. And then, of course, having a built-in ally attack for your strongest nuker, your crit damage, you know, highest crit damage nuker in your team, and then having that damage also get increased for each debuff on the target. It's very, very disgusting. And then, of course, on top of that, having turn meter boost is just ridiculous. So, is he worth it? I'm not going to lie. In terms of the Knights Revenant team or faction as a whole, there's not really a lot of turn meter boosters, if any, at all. And I would say that having a Terminator booster within that faction, maybe for Siege, could be very valuable. In addition to that, having a built-in ally tech for one of your biggest nukers, also very valuable. Hex and Weaken on AoE, in particular, like areas maybe like Hydra, for example, very valuable. And then being able to debuff spread across the board with champions that do have that Hex, very valuable. So, in cases of where I feel like he could shine, number one, you got Hydra, as I obviously said. I think they're trying to give a little bit of validity to maybe having him be able to provide more than that in other areas of the game, like PvP, maybe pseudolite, if you're thinking maybe some unique comps that like to do debuff spreading, which I can think of a few, think bombs. You could see that with his A1. That's not too bad. And then, of course, being able to just be a generalistic turn meter booster in general is not bad. So, obviously very solid. Depending on his base speed, I see going the route of a turn meter booster being very valuable. I would say based on damage stats, the A1 and the A2 could be also very valuable. Now, it does say he's a support type champion, so I would say base your expectations or set your expectations accordingly. Most of the time, with some very small exceptions, and I'm going to include Mythics and maybe Seer, for example, in that like exclusion. Most supports aren't typically known for being very damage oriented. So I will say that, you know, if he is designed by nature in terms of his multipliers to not really pack as much of a punch, then you shouldn't expect that from this champion, right? But nevertheless, the utility he brings to the table is very valuable. I really could see him being very solid as a debuff outlet, a hexer, as well as a buff duration increaser for spots like Hydra to be very, very solid. I think that's a very good attribute for him. I think that's probably where he's going to shine at the most, if you want my two pennies. But with that being said, it did take us a little while to kind of get this information on release, and I'm not entirely sure if maybe Plarium has been trying to play a little bit closer to ear because we have so much going on in the Alice in Wonderland event. But I will say this, I'm excited for the Mad Hatter. I think he looks cool. I think his kit is by design pretty unique. It's pretty cool. I'm down to explore it. And I just think that the way this champion is overall, he's just awesome. I mean, like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just fanning out because I like the way he looks or something like that. He's got like this Joker-esque vibe, but also like you can really tell to the elements of like his backstory of being like, you know, basically someone who went mad. You know, it's all about the mad boys, you know what I'm saying? And letting them cook, you know. I have to be honest with you. It's really, really cool. It's really, really cool. With that being said, are you guys interested in this particular champion? Are you thinking about going towards or going for him in the fusion? I think I might. I think there could be some really cool examples of him in maybe Siege as a PvP option, as well as in Hydra. We could probably explore some more alternative measures and maybe include him into a composition to really shine. Who knows? With that being said, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and as always remember, stay ascended.
Got the